Night of the Living, Battlefield, Part 2. The warehouse doors were reinforced with sandbags and broken crates. Every window was boarded except for narrow firing slits where rifles poked out into the fog-covered street. Inside, the surviving soldiers had built a last stand. Daniel and Frank joined the line, firing through the gaps as waves of the dead shuffled forward across the ruined battlefield. Their bodies moved slowly, but there were so many of them that the street looked like it was crawling. "Reload!" someone shouted. Daniel slammed a new clip into his rifle. "How long have you been holding this place?" he asked one of the soldiers nearby. "Couple hours, maybe more," the man replied, his face pale under the dim lantern light. "We were trying to regroup with the Eastern unit, but the dead cut us off." Frank wiped sweat and grime from his face. "We can't stay here forever. There's too many." The squad leader, Lieutenant Carter, pointed to a map spread across a crate. "There's a rail depot 2 blocks north. Concrete walls, stronger than this place. If we break through together, we might hold it." Outside, the zombies slammed against the barricade. The boards cracked. "That's our signal," Carter said grimly. "We move now." Olza. The warehouse doors burst open. The soldiers poured into the street, rifles blazing as they cut a path through the fog. Zombies lunged from alleys and rubble piles, their grey hands clawing at uniforms. Daniel fired again and again, dropping one corpse after another. Frank stabbed a bayonet through the skull of a crawling soldier that grabbed his boot. "Keep moving!" Carter shouted. They fought their way block by block through the ruined town. But Daniel noticed something strange. One of the men, Corporal Hayes, kept lagging behind. Hayes fired his rifle like the rest of them, but he moved stiffly. His left hand stayed pressed against his side. "You hit?" Daniel asked while reloading. Hayes shook his head quickly. "Just scratched." But Daniel saw it. Dark blood seeping through the torn fabric near his ribs. And something else. Teeth marks. "There is." They reached the rail depot just as the fog thickened again. The structure loomed like a fortress, massive steel doors and concrete walls that could actually hold back the dead. The soldiers rushed inside and barricaded the entrance with heavy rail equipment. For a moment, silence returned. The men leaned against the walls, exhausted. Frank handed Daniel a canteen. That was too close. Then Hayes suddenly dropped his rifle. His hands trembled violently. "You all right?" Carter asked. Hayes didn't answer. He slowly lifted his head. His eyes had turned grey. "Oh no," Daniel whispered. Hayes let out a guttural groan as his body jerked violently. His jaw snapped open unnaturally wide as black veins crawled up his neck. "He's turning!" someone shouted. Hayes lunged. The closest soldier didn't react fast enough. Hayes sank his teeth into the man's arm, ripping through cloth and flesh. Gunshots erupted inside the depot. Daniel fired. The bullet dropped Hayes to the floor, but the damage was done. Outside, the noise had drawn the horde. Hundreds of zombies slammed into the depot doors, rattling the metal walls. "We can't hold this," Frank yelled. Lieutenant Carter grabbed his rifle. "There's a service tunnel behind the tracks. Emergency escape route. We fall back there." Another wave of zombies crashed against the doors. The metal hinges began to bend. Daniel and the others grabbed what supplies they could and sprinted down the depot corridor. Behind them, the massive doors burst open. The dead flooded inside. The soldiers dove into the dark tunnel and slammed the hatch behind them. For the first time since the nightmare began, the sounds of the horde were muffled. Daniel leaned against the tunnel wall, breathing hard. Frank looked down the long underground passage. "Where does this go?" Carter shook his head. "Don't know." Daniel looked back at the shaking hatch behind them. The war above had become something far worse, and now they were trapped underground. With no idea what waited in the darkness ahead,